What's up, everyone, and welcome to Scourge of War Waterloo, episode 29, part 1. Today we're going to be finally entering the full battles, and we're going to start with the French version of the Battle of Quatre Bras. I'm splitting this video up into two parts because the scenario is 3 hours long, so I'm going to do half of it in one video and then half of it in a second video, because 3 hours is a long time to sit through a video. Not that an hour and a half is short, but it's better than sitting through the whole video. So yeah, I'm going to split this one up. It's going to be a part 1 and a part 2. So we command the left wing of the Army of the North. We play Marshal Ney. The time is 2 p.m. on June 16th, 1815. And the situation, if we scroll down a little bit more here. Okay, so the situation is in 1815, Napoleon's army entered Belgium to find and defeat two allied armies, the Prussians under Blücher and the British-German Netherlands under Wellington. While Napoleon was taking care of the Prussians, Marshal Ney, your command was sent towards the village of Quatre Bras. Quatre Bras was a very small village located near the important crossroads on the road to Brussels. Marshal Ney arrived at Quatre Bras at around 2 p.m. He immediately recognized the importance of the crossroads at Quatre Bras and the Bazou Wood. It was impossible to move along the road to Brussels while the enemy occupied the wood. Your troops are assembled and ready to take the battle to the enemy. One division is still moving up and will arrive within the hour, but the time to attack is now. And the mission is to secure as many objectives as possible while minimizing casualties. And this part's very important. We want to keep our casualties as low as we possibly can, so that in addition to the objectives, which there are many, and I'm going to explain how we're going to go about this, we don't hemorrhage points by losing a lot of men. So this is a somewhat big battle, and you do have a lot to keep an eye on. So you're going to have to pay attention throughout the entire battle to kind of everything going on. And I'm going to explain how we're going to make that a little easier. I'm going to scroll down to the map here, and I'll explain what our strategy is going to be. Okay, so here we are. We have Foy's division on the left, Bachelor's division on the right, and we have Watheza's cavalry brigade on the left and Hubert's cavalry brigade on the right. So basically the scenario involves unlocking a series of waypoint objectives. Now, the first two objectives are going to be Larell and Gemioncourt. Larell isn't really worth much. I think it's like 250 points or something. But the main thing is it starts unlocking a chain of more waypoint objectives. You unlock Larell, it unlocks the southeast objective over here somewhere, and then that unlocks an objective up here. So what we want to do is, the first thing we're going to do is advance the cavalry kind of just in front of the town. We're going to advance one of our batteries, which you can't really see here. It's the horse battery. And we're going to advance that to just in front of the cavalry and begin shelling Gemioncourt, as well as some Dutch Belgians who are over here. In the meantime, what we're going to do is take Bachelor's division and move them up, and we're going to use bunch of skirmishers, surround Larell, and take it pretty handily. It's not hard to take. Once we do that, we're going to begin moving Bachelor's division forward this way. We're going to take the southeast objective, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move Hussein's brigade to occupy this objective right here. We're going to move Campy's brigade to assist in taking Gemioncourt and move them in on the right. And we're going to have our cavalry kind of in the center of the line. And this becomes important later on. You want to have Hubert's brigade move in kind of the center between Hussein's brigade and Campy's brigade. So Hussein's brigade is going to be the front line for this objective here. Campy's brigade is going to be helping to take Gemioncourt, as well as being the setting up kind of right to the right of it, and we're going to have our cavalry in the center. We're going to detach one or two brigades just to cover our flank. There's a lake here. This lake basically makes it impossible to flank us. It's too far around it, and you can't really move through it. So our line is basically going to be like this, and we're going to anchor our flank against the lake. As long as we do that, we cannot be outflanked. Uh, on the left side, what we're going to do is move Foy's division up and occupy this area. And he has two brigades. One of them is going to be responsible for guarding our left flank against some of the Dutch Belgians in the Basel Wood. And the other brigade is going to be responsible for occupying Gemioncourt, as well as setting up our defense along the river here. Forget trying to take Quatre Bras. You don't need to. You don't need to advance any further than this. This does two things for us. One, it's going to let us keep our line concentrated, so we're not watching what's going on over a very wide area. We're going to keep our line basically from the lake to Gemioncourt to the Basel Wood, and we're basically going to have over here this little river kind of acting as a barrier for the Dutch and the British to kind of move across. And we're going to set up a fortress over here, 2 squares with an artillery behind it. And I'm also a new formation I'm going to show you guys that I call the Horsey Fort. We don't have a lot of artillery. We have about 3 batteries, and we get another one later on. So we're going to place them strategically. We're going to have one right here, which is basically guarding the road and the approach and the river crossing. We're going to have another one kind of right in here, basically being supported by Campy's brigade. Again, we're going to set up another square fortress with the artillery kind of right behind it. And that's going to cover any approach from this side. And then we're going to have another one set up over here with Hussein's brigade that's going to cover the right. So we have a left, a center, and a right, and that's where we're going to put our artillery batteries. We don't have enough artillery to just set up a line of fortresses, so we're going to set up fortresses to cover the artillery, and then over here where most of the Dutch Belgian cavalry is, like I said, I'm going to show you a new formation that I call the Horsey Fort. Yeah, all we basically have to do is we're going to get a lot of points from Gemioncourt as well as this objective right here. There's 4 waypoint objectives. Basically, every time you use up one, another one spawns right in its place for both of these objectives. They're technically waypoint objectives, but you're going to think they're hold objectives because they just keep disappearing and reappearing because it happens 4 times. And each one is worth like 1,000 points. So you're going to get a lot of points from these, but not quite enough. When Bonaparte's division comes up, our 3rd division, right? That'll unlock, well, shortly after he comes up, we're going to set up basically right here just in line with artillery in the front. And this objective right here will unlock the Grand Pierrepont. And that's not worth a lot, but it does unlock the next objective, which is the Basel Wood south. Then we're going to take Bonaparte's entire division and just march into the Basel Wood and clear out all these Dutch Belgian units, most of them that have been, shot at and beat up beforehand. So it's not hard to do. We're just going to march in there with both brigades and column by division and just Hulk smash them. And then we're going to occupy the Basel Wood south objective. Once we finish occupying that, it's a waypoint objective too. Almost everything here is a waypoint objective, not hold objectives. Some of them just reappear over and over again. Like I said, Gemioncourt and the one up here appear 4 times, and you just keep holding on to them until you eat them all up. Once we unlock the Basel Wood South objective, that's going to unlock Basel Wood North, which is way up here west of Quatre Bras. We're not going to go for it. If we've done our jobs correctly, we have enough points or close to enough points to not have to go for this objective. This objective is hard to get to because while we're playing defensive, fortress pinball over here, knocking back the attacks, the Allies do outnumber us and do have a lot of reinforcements coming up here. So it's best to not try and go for this objective, and you can win without doing it so long as you are paying attention and making sure nothing really goes south for you. And like I said, there is a lot to watch, and some of this is just experience and me having played the scenario many times. I know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and I've seen, I'm very familiar with the AI strategies and tactics, and I know how to make it work against it. So I always have no problem getting enough points without having to go for Bazuwood North. So we're not going to bother with that objective. We're just going to, with Jerome Bonaparte's division, we're just going to take the Grand Pierrepont and then move in and take Bazuwood South. By that time, we're going to have, you know, almost 15,000 points, which is what we need for a major victory, by the way, 15,000 points. We may not have it all the way, but we're going to have enough that we can just pull back and shore up the left side of Gemioncourt here with Bonaparte's division. We'll take one of his brigades and send him to reinforce the right over here, and we'll keep the other one over here. And after that, it's just a matter of protecting our lead and continuing to rack up casualties, keeping our artillery. This is very important. Keeping your artillery stocked up with ammo. You know, you've got enough supply wagons to cover every battery. And we're going to take Bonaparte's battery after he's done with the Bazuwood and move it up in here. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 batteries. And that is pretty much the plan. Like I said, we're not going to cover the whole video here, the whole scenario here, just the first half of it. But I figured I'd go over the entire strategy. So like I said, you do not need to take Quatre Bras. These two objectives that are going to be right here are the money objectives. And then you get a little bit extra from the Bazuwood South. But these two are the big money objectives. So really what we need to do is set up a line kind of from the Bazuwood through Gemioncourt and then up here and then lock our flank down on the lake and play defensively. And as I've said, it's easier to defend in this game. It's especially easier to defend in this game if you really know what the AI tends to do and how to make it work, how to make the AI's tactics work against it. And like I said, I have a lot of practice playing the scenario, so I've refined it, and it's going to look like it goes pretty smooth for me just because I'm very good at anticipating what the AI is going to do and how to protect myself against it. So like I said, I have a bunch of formations that we're going to use to make the AI's tactics work against it. We're going to have a lot of skirmishers out in front of Hussein's brigade over here. As well as a big battery that's going to be pounding canister at anything that tries to come at us. Campy is going to be mostly set up in square with artillery behind him, but we're going to have our cavalry kind of right here, which is why it's important to have one of your cavalry brigades here in the center, because anybody that approaches us is also going to get forced into square. And if they try to stay in line, we can just move a squadron out near them. If they don't form square, we charge them. If they do form square, great. We just pull back and keep them in square so that Campy is on even ground as far as square versus square, but we have our artillery. And over here, like I said, we're going to have a fortress on the left here with 2 squares with artillery behind it, as well as the horsey fort that's going to cover our left until we get Bonaparte's battery over here. And I think that pretty much covers it for the main part of the strategy here. So like I said, we're going to condense our forces. You see they're really spread out right now, but we're going to condense them into a line, basically following the river from the wood to Gemioncourt, north of the river on this side of the line, and then anchor our flank on this big lake here that, like I said, is so big it basically makes it impossible to try and flank us. You'd have to go, all the way around, and the AI doesn't do things like that. Another thing I got to cover is you're going to see messages that are going to pop up in the scenario, basically giving you what ifs. What if Durland's corps followed orders and reinforced Ney at Quatre Bras? What if Kellerman's cavalry was activated at Quatre Bras, and so forth? What if the guard cavalry was activated? Stuff like that. All of those come with a point penalty, so we don't want to use any of them. If you activate Durland's corps, and I'll show you how that happens in game, because we're not going to do it, but I'll show you how to not do it or not accidentally do it. You get Durland's corps, but you dump 3,000 points. It comes at a 3,000 point penalty. So if you activate Durland's corps, you lose 3,000 points. If you activate the cavalry, reserve, you lose another 2,000 points. So you don't want to activate any of this stuff because it's going to cost you points, and uh, our strategy is going to be fine without it. We're going to be able to hold these positions without activating any of that reserve stuff or that what if stuff. So ignore all that stuff. Don't activate Derlon. Don't activate the guards, cavalry, and all that other stuff. It costs points that you really can't afford to spare. Now, I finished this scenario with about 18,000 something points, so I could have spared maybe the cavalry, but I never want to chance it. So yeah, don't activate Derlon. Don't activate the cavalry. Just we're going to use what we got here. Believe me, it's enough. Plus, Bonaparte is not even here yet. This is just Foy and Bachelor, 2 divisions so far. And believe me, it's enough because we're going to condense our line and hold a much smaller area instead of the historical Battle of Quatre Bras kind of spread from all the way over here to all the way over here, and they got drawn forward. They fought a lot closer to Quatre Bras. We're not going to do any of that because we know the Allied reinforcements are coming. We know they're going to outnumber us, and we don't want to get caught trying to carry out an attack and capture Quatre Bras and not be set up to meet their reinforcements. I mean, that's how the Allies recaptured everything, is they counterattacked and just drove Ney off. So rather than that, since we know that this is not really attainable, that we can get enough points just with this objective, and then the Bazou Wood will come very close to capping us off. We're going to condense our line and make it very much more manageable by having a tightly packed formation and having be set up for defense, basically, so that as the Allied reinforcements come forward, we can whittle them down piece by piece so that they're really not much of a threat to us. So, all right, I think that basically covers it. So let's get this going. So like I said, we need 15,000 points for a major victory. And let's launch the scenario. All right, and this does take a little longer to load because it's a bigger scenario, but it's not too bad. All right, so here is Marshal Ney, and I'm going to place all leaders on take charge just so I control everything. And here comes our courier. All right, Mon General, begin your attack on the Allied forces at Quatre Bras. It is imperative that we defeat and drive the enemy from this key junction. Once secured, hold the crossroads at Quatre Bras, report your situation, and await further orders. And that is from Napoleon, who is at Ligny at the moment, fighting the Prussians. And our job is to keep Wellington from reinforcing the Prussians so that Napoleon can defeat them at Ligny. All right, so like I said, the first thing we're going to do is get our cavalry out in front of the town so we can start getting a view on the enemy. All right, and then they go. And then we're going to bring the cavalry, artillery, the horse artillery, which is right there. And we're going to bring them up kind of right in front of the cavalry so we can start shelling the area around Gemioncourt. And we'll bring our 2 brigades of Foy's division up behind the cavalry. We have Gauthier's division, I think it is. Yeah, Gauthier. I don't know how to pronounce that. We're going to bring him up. And then we have Jamin's brigade on the other side, and we're going to bring him up. And that will be our initial setup while we handle Larell with Bachelor's division. And we're going to bring this other battery up too. This will end up being the battery that ends up on the right side of Gemioncourt. Now I'm just going through the motions here. This is all pretty pre-planned and pretty calculated. Usually I do pretty much the same thing every single time. So all these initial movements here are all kind of pre-planned. So we're going to get Bonaparte, I'm sorry, not Bonaparte, Bachelou's whole division moving, and we're just going to set them up in line with artillery front. And once we get closer to Larell, then I'll start taking command of the smaller units, and we'll capture that pretty easily. And we'll start moving our cavalry on the right, which is Hubert's brigade, and move him up as well. All right, so that's Pyre. He actually commands the entire cavalry division, both the Wathes's brigade that we have on the left and Hubert's brigade that we have on the right. But here I just grabbed the wrong guy, and you know, really I want him over on the left because the supply wagon will follow him, and the horse battery is on the left, and that's really the only reason why I want to move him to the left. And we'll start advancing Hubert's brigade. We're just moving him up, and he's not really going to be involved in capturing the fort, because how can cavalry capture a fort? It doesn't really do anything for capturing a fort. So now we're just waiting for our all our boys to move into position here. Now in this attack, to capture the position we want to capture, it's important to not waste your forces. You want to do precision strikes. So we're going to do a lot of small scale things first. We're going to, capture artillery batteries with, single cavalry squadrons and so forth. We're going to use skirmishers to capture Larell, as opposed to surrounding it with our whole brigade. Basically anything we can do to minimize casualties, because these boys have to be in a 3-hour fight. So it's important to not waste their fatigue, not waste their men, and not waste their morale by attacking more aggressively or more recklessly than you really need to. This area is not heavily defended. There's only, like one Dutch brigade, and they're spread out very thin. So it's not going to be difficult to capture the positions we need to capture. And I'm just double clicking the supply wagons so they get up there. So yeah, like I said, we want to use small scale strikes at the beginning here and not use any more men than we really have to. We will sustain a couple of artillery casualties while we're set up here and just starting our bombardment here, but nothing critical. It's impossible to have a battle and not lose any men. You're going to lose some men, but we want to make sure that once we make it to the Gemioncourt line, that our forces are all in pretty good shape and not tired, and haven't sustained a lot of losses. So I start out a little slow here because, like I said, I want to do small scale strikes as opposed to just attacking with my entire force, which might clear things out a little faster, but like I said, it's better to take your time and actually preserve your force's strength, because they're going to need it. This is a long battle, and they're going to spend much of it holding off a superior force. So we don't want them, taking a lot of casualties and then, later on in the battle, routing out of key positions that we need to hold. So that's over there with the cannon there. That's Grand Pierrepont, which we're not going to worry about now. That's Bonaparte's job. It was Bonaparte's job historically, and it's Bonaparte's job in this scenario too. Both of these scenarios, the French version and the Allied version of Quatre Bras, are actually pretty well written in terms of sort of making you kind of follow the historical outline of the battle. It is somewhat compressed. Quatre Bras was a longer battle than 3 hours, obviously. So it's sort of compressed into 3 hours, and later on, nightfall advances, and it's the battle time is supposed to be like 8 o'clock, but for us it's really like 4 o'clock. So like I said, the battle is somewhat compressed in terms of how fast the events unfold is faster than it was historically. But in terms of the objectives and the way they unlock and the key points that you have to hold, it's like I said, it's one of the better written scenarios in the game. Both the French and the Allied side are pretty well done. So it's 1407 right now, so a little bit after 2 p.m. And I'm going to go till 15:30. So I'm going to stop this video at 15:30, and that'll be part 1. And then part 2 will be 15:30 to 1700, which is the end of the scenario. So, okay, Bachelor's division is up. We're going to move Hussein's brigade forward towards Larell, and then detach a whole bunch of skirmishers, surround the fort on 3 sides, and just, shoot them out of there. There's only a small Dutch-Belgian unit in there. It won't take long to shoot them out. In the meantime, we're going to start setting up our left with our artillery in the front and start bombing away. And our right-wing cavalry is moved into position. And I'm just going to move them a little further forward, I think, just to cover more ground, really. Like I said, I'm not going to have them involved in the fighting, but they will be in a good spot to run down the Dutch Belgians when they run back out of the fort. We'll be able to run them down with the cavalry and get them out of there. So our two left and right wings basically start out separated, but as we converge on Gemioncourt and the lake area, we will start to converge them into one line. All right, so artillery is coming up, and we're just going to let them bomb away a little bit for a little while. You can see some Dutch Belgians out here. There's an infantry unit, a skirmisher unit, and an artillery battery. There's an artillery battery right here, but it's undefended. And we're just going to let them bomb away for a little while we set things up with Larell here and get our skirmishers going. So our guns are in position to start bombing the fort. Not that that does a lot of good in this game, but I put them there anyway. All right, so now what we're going to do is surround the fort on 3 sides with skirmishers and just start shooting away. At first, we don't get the best of it because obviously our skirmishers are running into position and they're going to get shot at while they're doing so, but eventually we take over and run the Dutch Belgians out of there. And like I said, the reason I'm using skirmishers is simply to reduce casualties. Rather than surrounding the fort with our entire brigade, which would probably shoot them out faster, or somewhat faster, we would probably take more casualties doing so. So that's the reason I'm using skirmishers. It will reduce the number of casualties we take. We want to save our brigade. Like I said, they have a lot of hard fighting ahead of them. We don't want to wear them out unnecessarily. And I'm going to just going down the line and splitting off skirmishers from each unit. And I'm just going to surround the fort on 3 sides, kind of from here to here to here to here, and finally here. And start shooting at them basically until they run out, and then we can run them down with the cavalry. Alrighty, so our skirmishers are almost in position. And we got some guns up and we're firing away here. And I'm just seeing if anybody's taking some losses. Because sometimes these artillery batteries, you know, they find range on a certain unit or something, and they're just able to hit it kind of multiple times. So, you know, if you see that happening, I just usually move a unit, move them behind the lines, and force the artillery to either try and get range on a different unit, or, you know, they can't hit any unit as well as they were hitting that unit. So that's one of the reasons I do that. So here you can see there's one Dutch-Belgian unit and a skirmisher unit in front of them and an artillery battery, but they're still a ways off. And these guys have taken 11 losses. Like I said, this is one of those units they've kind of gotten range on. So I'm going to take them and kind of move them, get them out of there. And I think I just put them kind of back here behind the line, just because, like I said, that battery over there has gotten range on this unit, and they've already taken 11 men. And you want to kind of preserve, like I said, preserve your strength. So all you got to do is move them, and that'll force the battery to try and get range on them again. And you'll notice I've sent one cavalry squadron forward, and basically I'm sending them forward to capture the guns that are over there by Gemioncourt, because they're undefended. So I can capture the whole battery with one cavalry unit, which is, like I said, these small kind of surgical strikes here. All right, so we've got the fort surrounded, and I'm going to advance Campy's brigade, and I always do this, despite the fact that I don't mean to. I just always end up advancing Campy's brigade towards this. This is going to be the second objective. After Larell is unlocked, the second objective unlocks here. And I always think I'm going to capture it with Campy's brigade, but I want Campy's brigade to go to Gemioncourt. And attacking that objective kind of brings them further to the right than I really want. So what I really want to do is capture that with Hassan's brigade as well. But I just always end up doing it. I always end up moving Campy's brigade towards them first. I mean, which is fine. It's kind of in the general direction of Gemioncourt, and you know, I do move them away before they actually engage that unit. But I just always start off by moving them towards that unit. I don't know why, because it's not part of the plan. So what we're doing right now is just waiting for our skirmishers to drive the Dutch unit out of this fort, so we can occupy it quickly. I think we get like 250 points for it, and then move on to the next objective. And I'm walking the squadron for as long as I can. Once I see the artillery battery start to move off, that's when I'll double click them, so they don't get a chance to escape. But as long as they're sitting there shooting, I'm going to keep walking, because you want to preserve their energy for as long as possible. So here's Campy's brigade moving up, and Hassan's brigade is hanging out here, just back behind the line of skirmishers. So we let the skirmishers take care of shooting these guys out of the, and they're getting the best of it so far. Shouldn't be long now until they run out of the fort. And like I said, by using the skirmishers, we're really preserving our force for later on. So that they're not taking a lot of casualties now, because there's not a lot here. All that's here is, you know, this at Larell. There's one unit in the that has Campy's brigade heading for. There's an artillery battery right here, and there's a unit here and another artillery battery. So there's not much here. So there's no reason to go, you know, trying to destroy a molehill with an atom bomb. We don't need to do that. Just enough to get the job done. That's all we need to engage right now. All right, so the looks like the artillery is beginning to move off. Just checking my eight men. That's nothing. I'm not going to worry about that on Gother's brigade. Believe me, we're going to get it all back. All right, so the battery has hooked up to their horses, and they're trying to get out of there. So we're going to double quick the squadron now, and run these guns down. And you'll notice the squadron is moving pretty quickly. Sorry. And this is just easy points here. Each one of these guns is worth like 30 points. Looks like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, so get about 150 points here just from running these guns down. And their chase will bring them into range of Gemioncourt, which does have a Dutch-Belgian unit in it, but as soon as we finish capturing these guns, we'll just run these guys out of here. And then once they're out of range of the musket fire, we'll stop making them run and let them walk back to their line. So here we go. Just running the guns down. And obviously the cavalry moves a lot faster than the guns, so there's no escape, and there's no infantry here to protect them. This is why I get these guns early, before the Allied reinforcements come up. I want to get rid of as much of the artillery as possible, so that when they bring up artillery later on, they're forced to set up further back, and it's not as effective. So we've come in range of the fort now, and I'm going to quickly double quick them and get them out of there. Now we've captured all the guns. Okay, and in the meantime, we have cleared Larell. You can see the Dutch-Belgian unit has run off, and we're just going to fill it up with skirmisher units and send the leader in there just to quickly get the waypoint objective. And then we'll just recall all the skirmishers and move the entire brigade forward and keep the advance going. All right, and I'm just going to send the cavalry to run these guys off. And they are out of range. We can stop double quicking them, I think. They can just take a leisurely trot back to the lines. And with the artillery cleared away, all right, the enemy has been cleared from Larell, proceeding northwest to secure the bottomland. Like I said, that's now activated the objective, the next objective, which is the southeast objective. So every time you capture one objective, it unlocks another one. Alrighty, so now that the artillery is cleared from Gemioncourt, we can advance our guns, we can advance our infantry, and get a lot closer to it. So we're going to take Jamin's brigade and get them up close to Gemioncourt. And like I said, we've cleared this objective now, so I'm just going to recall all the skirmishers. Just select each one and just recall them. You can recall units when they're in skirmishers when they're in a fort. It doesn't matter. Just remember to hit select a unit when you do so. So you select it, then select the unit, and then just hit the recall button. And I'm just recalling all the skirmishers, and now we're going to take the leader and move Hassan's brigade forward. And the cavalry will clear off those skirmisher Dutch's Belgian unit that ran out of the fort. Okay, and while that's going on, I'm going to advance the horse artillery to start bringing more fire against those units over there, and I'm going to advance the infantry right behind them just to support them. And then we're going to take a cavalry squadron and send them out on the flank over here and run down this battery. And I've detached them. You can see right here, the minus sign. I've detached that cavalry squadron so that I can move the rest of the cavalry brigade forward without disrupting that one squadron's mission to move out on the flank. And we'll move Pyre out kind of near the battery just so the supply wagon goes with him. Once we get our stuff set up on the Gemioncourt line, we'll take command of the supply wagons ourselves and make sure that each battery has its own supply wagon. All right, so here's Campy's brigade, and again, I think about going forward to attack with Campy's brigade, but really, I want Campy's brigade to end up here, not out here. So we're going to have Hassan attack that one unit, and we're going to move Campy off to head towards where I want him in the line. Because I already know how I want the line set up, just because I've played this battle many times. So I kind of have specific locations that I want each brigade and each artillery battery and the cavalry to go to, so I can basically set up the line the way I kind of always do. So yeah, Campy's brigade is supposed to end up in this position, kind of in here to the right of Gemioncourt. So I'm heading that way now, and you can see the cavalry has run off the Dutch-Belgian units. I will take one squadron to just make sure they get run completely off the field. And we're moving Hassan's brigade forward. We're also going to start bringing the guns up. And this is the battery that's going to end up on the right side of things. So I kind of want to start snaking them this way. But I don't want to move them too close because we haven't cleared out this Dutch-Belgian unit yet. As soon as we do, I'll start snaking the artillery out towards the right. Because this battery is going to be on the right to go with Hassan's brigade when this objective appears here. Right now, where that Dutch-Belgian unit is, that's where the second objective is. All right, so we're down 25 men, again, out of a whole brigade. That's really nothing to concern ourselves with. Those are just artillery hits. It happens. This is war. Men die. But nothing to get worked up about yet. And like I said, we're going to move the rest of the cavalry forward as well, I believe. But this won't move the one unit I sent out to the extreme left flank because, as I said, I detached them so that they wouldn't be affected. As you can see, they're still heading out. And I'm going to take a little more of a direct route to the artillery. And we are closing in on that Dutch-Belgian battalion that is occupying the next objective, and we will get them out of there relatively quickly. You can see there's another Dutch-Belgian unit moving in. There's a couple of more out of sight here. There's one right here. They're all going to be trying to head to the towards the Gemioncourt area here. So there will be a little bit of a fight for Gemioncourt, but nothing we can't handle. And like I said, this is Grand Pierrepont. We won't worry about that until Bonaparte's division comes up, and that'll be his job. And we have Jamin's brigade on the left and Campy's brigade on the right, moving in towards Gemioncourt. We have our guns up. And you can see the Dutch-Belgian skirmishers have fallen back even further. And like I said, we will send one squadron off to make sure they are completely run off, because we don't want them hanging around on our flank. And they're broken, they're panicked. All we basically have to do is move towards them and they're going to run away. And as you can see, bringing the cavalry up has forced the Dutch-Belgian unit into square. And I think we're just going to give these guys the old bulldozer. Just get them right on out of there. So we now have possession of this objective. We have to hold it for 5 minutes. And then that will unlock the next objective, which is the main one we want to get to, which is the northeast objective, which is our main. It's like 1,000 points every 10 minutes or something, and it appears 4 times. So basically, we're just going to get there and occupy it, and that's going to be kind of our spot. All right, so we've gotten rid of these guys. We're just going to hang out for 4.5 more minutes to get our points. And then we will begin moving forward again. And I'm just going to detach these guys because I want to move the rest of the cavalry, but I want this squadron to keep running these Dutch Belgians kind of off the map and get them so they're no longer anywhere near our flank. But I want to keep advancing the rest of Huber's brigade and moving them up towards the line here. And we end up actually running these guys into the lake, which is pretty funny. I don't know how they didn't drown, but they stay in there for quite a while. So we're just going to hang out here and occupy this objective and shoot the tar out of this battalion right here with our whole brigade here. And they will withdraw again. All right, so we got our cavalry here, and the guns are starting to run off, so we better catch them. Yeah, I was still clicked on that, on one of Hassan's battalions there. I want the cavalry here. So here we go. And I think we missed the boat on capturing every single gun here, but I think we do capture quite a few of them. I really let them hook up and get out of there before I came over here. So now I got a lot of ground to make up, and some of them are already across the bridge. But we'll get what we can. Run, little horsies, run. The guns are getting away. So they're closing. They're making good speed. But like I said, some of these guns are really far ahead of us. And there's only so much running a horsey can do. Alrighty, so here we go. Let's capture as many of these guns as we can. So yeah, the ones that are across the bridge already, they pretty much got away. So I think we're gonna get like 3 of them here. I think we get this one and then the one ahead of it, and I think that's it. Yep, that's it. So 3 guns got away. But we're gonna hit this. We're gonna hit this little Dutch-Belgian battalion right here, and run them off. And that will probably use up our cavalry, or use up our squadron here. For a little while, they're gonna need to head back and get rested. There they go. So they've inflicted some. All right, the bottom land is secured. Proceeding north to the road and gain the enemy's left. So we've unlocked. We've collected that second objective right here, and now we've unlocked our main objective, which is the northeast objective. So we're going to gather up our brigade here under Hassan. You can see the Dutch Belgians are falling back, and we're just going to advance further. And I was selected on the squadron still, so I did a misclick. So as I mentioned once before, if you click on the ground and you're selected on the wrong unit, just move to the sky and click on the sky, and that will cancel your movement. So that's what I did right there. All right, so we're going to set Hassan's brigade up in line along this objective right here, and this is our big money objective. We're going to bring the artillery up kind of right here to be ready to meet the Allied reinforcements as they come down the road. And like I said, we will anchor our flank on the lake later on. So I'm just pushing these guys off. I just want to, make sure that they are completely gone. All right, so the Allies are detaching some skirmishers here to stall our advance. So we will do the same. And what's basically going to happen is some units are going to move forward here and set up to face our skirmisher line and Campy's brigade here, and then we're going to charge into them with Jamin's brigade in the flank. We're getting some skirmishers out front. And like I said, I want to preserve Campy's brigade, so I'm not really getting his battalions involved. No reason to at this point. It's only skirmishers out there. We can detach skirmishers to deal with them. So, you know, I'm still at this point trying to conserve my force's strength for the battles ahead. And I still haven't properly extricated our cavalry squadron. Where are you, fellas? Okay, there you are. You are pooped. You've scored a lot of points, but you are tired. So we need to get you out of there. And even though they're tired, I'm going to double click them just so they don't take a lot of casualties. They will force this unit into square so they can run by them. All right. So the Netherlands units are moving out to engage Campy's skirmishers. So we will move Jamin's brigade up to hit them in the flank. And they don't really have much to resist us. Look at this. Here they go, into the water. Must be a hot day. They're taking a swim. So we're going to set up one battalion in line and just kind of shoot them to pieces. And looks like those fellas have really backed off. But no, we're going to keep going after them. Now I'm just going to put them on charge to run them off once and for all. Alright, so here comes Jamin's brigade. And like I said, we're gonna hit these fellas in the flank, get them out of there. And I'll use the whole brigade to charge here because I don't anticipate them taking many losses because they're going to charge into the unit's flank. And we will start bringing, really start moving our infantry up towards Gemioncourt at this point. So we'll bring Gonthier's brigade up. There he is. Bring him up. Oh, he's taken 50 losses. Nice shooting on those, on the part of the Dutch cannon there. All right. All right, so we're gonna hit these guys in the flank. And predictably, they run off. All right, so we can recall Campy's skirmishers now. Start moving him up towards his position, and I said Campy's job is to occupy kind of the right side of Gemioncourt, while Jamin's job is to actually capture the fort and set up the rest of his units on the left. And we're going to set them up in line just to start shooting at the units in the fort. But I think he's going to have to charge those units. They're not breaking quite the way I want them to. And we can start moving our guns up now. You can see a large contingent of Dutch cavalry, and we want to get up here so that we can get our fortress set up with our cannon and get our horsey fort set up on the left here. So I see that they're coming, so I'm trying to now move with a little speed here and actually get into a position to occupy Gemioncourt. So really now I'm just using a blunt force trauma here, just a sledgehammer, and I'm just charging the entire brigade. I want this stuff gone. You can see Hassan, the leading elements of Hassan's brigade are moving into position. So I really want to capture this area here now so that I can start setting up my defense to meet the reinforcements that are moving in here. So yeah, I've got 2 brigades charging 1 battalion and some skirmishers. That's hitting a molehill with an atom bomb. You know, at this point I want them out of there, and I want them out of there fast. All right, so Hassan is lagging behind here, so as soon as he moves in, he will start occupying this objective. And we have driven the Dutch-Belgian unit out of the water and back, and we've run off the skirmishers totally. So like as I said, we're gonna anchor our flank on the lake here. We're gonna take these 2 units, put them here, and basically have our flank protected. We're gonna bring up our artillery and set them up behind the line, and then move the units out of the way to open the field of fire for the guns. And as always, the key to a strong defense is bringing your artillery close. So here we go, getting the guns close. And I'm just getting them up there for now. I got to move the cavalry, and we're going to start slowly linking this all together with Gemioncourt. So we're going to move the cavalry up kind of in here. As I said, I want them in the center because they're going to force anything that approaches into square. And that's good for us. So I want the cavalry in the center right here. And Campy's brigade will move in and occupy their left. So, like I said, this is all pre-planned. You know, I know where I want every unit to be placed, just from repetition experience, just having played the scenario many times. Start moving our cavalry up. Because as I said, over here we're going to form a formation called the Horsey Fort, and I'll show it to you guys when we get it up. Basically, it's kind of the same as the fortress, except instead of artillery behind the squares, we're going to set up 2 squares with a cavalry squadron in between it. In between each square. And what that basically does is force any infantry that approaches to also go into square, so that at least our squares are defending on equal terms. And if cavalry approaches, they can't charge squares, so no problem. Alright, so start moving some of Campy's units out here, both to get them into the position I want them to be in and to outflank these skirmishers. You can see the Allied reinforcements coming, and there's a lot of them, but we're set up in a firing line, and it's going to take them quite a while to get themselves situated. So even without skirmishers out front at the moment, it's going to be okay at the beginning, because we're already set up, and you know, they're not here yet. What will become an issue is this battery setting up on our flank here. So here comes our cavalry brigade moving into its position, and I think I'm going to snake them just a little further to the right, just to link them up with Hassan's brigade a little tighter. Because I'm going to form Campy's brigade in square, so I'll have more room to kind of play around with them. Now, luckily for us, the Dutch cavalry is moving this way, so that's going to give us the time we need to set up our fortress as soon as we get done running off these Dutch-Belgian troops here. And with these guys flanked, they're not going to last long. And I'm going to move this cavalry squadron up towards the rear line because maybe we can force some of these units into square and slow their advance. And I'm going to bring the cavalry squadron that I had chasing off the skirmishers and see if we can run that Prussian battalion back into the lake where they belong. And we're going to send some of Gonthier's battalions over to clear out these Dutch Belgians left in the woods here. Alright, so some of the Dutch Belgians are running off. They still have the fort. And the cavalry is getting closer, so I'm going to have to set up a square with this unit to block their advance. So I'm moving them further to the right so that they basically I can stop this whole area in here with one square. And it's just cavalry, it's no infantry. So one square ought to be enough to stop them all up here while we finish clearing Gemioncourt here. And they're not going to be able to move over and interfere with Hussan because we're blocking them with an entire cavalry brigade. Alright, so we've forced these guys into square, which means there's nothing the cavalry can do. So we're going to move them over and join them up with Hussan's brigade. Alright, there they go, running out of the fort. So we can start to set up our position here, occupy the fort, and once we have the fort and we're shooting in all directions, we'll be able to clear these guys out of here. But first, I want to set up my squares so that the cavalry can go no further. Alrighty. Starting to clean up back here. Now, we still have a lot of units back here we can use, but I just want to get the fort occupied first. Now we've got artillery up. You know, this is all starting to come together. We're going to start bombing these guys with canister. You know, as I said, we outnumber them greatly. It's just a question of bringing our forces to bear, which is why I started bringing up everybody ahead of time. All right, so we've got a unit in the fort. We've got the leader hanging into the fort, heading into the fort. So now this is an objective also, and it's worth a lot of points. We're going to hold it for a long time, and that's kind of going to become the linchpin of our defense in this whole area is this fort. In the meantime, the rest of Jamin's brigade, we're going to start shifting them over here because Campy is going to set up its square and keep this cavalry on lock. We want Jamin over here. You see what I mean? This is a lot to watch. I'm constantly going back and forth here to make sure my position is being set up the way I want it to. So it does take a good amount of troop control. Alright, so we've engaged these Dutch Belt. My division is approaching your position. We will continue en route to await further orders. And that is from Bonaparte's division, who is arriving from the south. We're a little busy at the moment, so we're not going to bring him up right away because we have to take care of these Dutch Belgians that are encroaching on our flank here. So we got some cavalry. They're kind of a bluff because they're too tired to charge, but if we can move them into range, it'll stop them and form them into square. And these units have already been charged and hit by the cavalry before, and I really do not have a lot of respect for these Dutch Belgian units. You know, I'm inclined to just charge them and get them out of there. Now, this unit is getting countercharged, unfortunately, and they're going to get hit. They're going to get hit pretty hard. Yeah, they're retreating. But we're going to clear this one out of here. And we can put a stopper on some of this enemy infantry just by bringing the cavalry up and forcing them into square. So they did force one of my units back, but I'm going to just bring Walther's whole cavalry brigade up and force these guys into square and get rid of them. So they've managed to get across the river and set up you know, a square. They bring in another column, but really we just have to get our forces in hand, and we'll be able to drive them off. Now that Campy's brigade is set up in square, he's blocking all the artillery, and Hussan is set up, we can start to focus more on the left. We're going to start to set up our fortress here, put a unit in square here, and then one on the left, and put the artillery behind it. All right, so we've run off a unit here. We've got a whole bunch of units back here. What we have to do is open the road for artillery here so that we can start firing canister and grape shot into them. So what I'm going to do is back this unit off, slide this unit over, and do the same thing over here so that we open the field of view for the artillery, and they can start bombing away with canister fire. And then later on, we'll cover them with skirmishers. A lot of enemy troops out here, but their artillery is pretty far back, so it's going to be better for us once we open our artillery's field of fire. So here's our last set of guns. We need to get them to up in here, or in here somewhere, to be the center, so to speak. And I'm just bringing them up. I'll solidify their position once they're there. There's a lot going on right now, so I'm bouncing around back and forth to make sure I'm covering everything here. Now we've got these two units forced into square, so our line should get the best of it, and we're bringing the cavalry up to keep them in square. And see if we can outflank these guys. So with the fort occupied, it shouldn't be long for us to drive these units out. And I'm slowly getting into position to set up the fortress here. Now, right now, the cavalry is mostly over here tied up with Campy. So for now, I'm setting up in line. But you can see some cavalry moving forward here, and I'm going to quickly have to switch to square. But with artillery right behind them, we'll start blowing these units to pieces. So yeah, it's always a little messy in the beginning, but don't worry, I'll get a handle on it. Like I said, I know exactly where I want everybody to be. It's just a question of getting them there. I'm going to move one more unit into the fort so that we have two battalions in there. All right, so I've got half the field of fire of the artillery opened up. And I'm going to move the cavalry back so that I can start to move these units back and slide these units over, and get the field of fire for the artillery opened up. Here I got caught in the passing vortex here of trying to find a way to just back up, and it's too late. They're too far. Everything is now taking them around here, and it's just nothing is going to get them to come back. So yeah, they just keep following this passing hell, and sometimes there's just no way around that. No matter where you click, how directly far back you click, it's just that's it. They're determined to go around. So the best thing to do when you cannot do that, is to just double quick them. Move them as fast as you can. All right, so a lot of this is cleared out now. The cavalry has pushed back the Dutch over there. The Dutch have withdrawn from the front of the fort here, so now we can start to get our fortress set up and bomb away on these forces with the artillery. And while we're doing that, I'm going to quickly make a fridge run. I will be right back. All right, guys, I'm back. And we're continuing to set up our line here, bringing the guns up. We've got our squares set up to keep all this cavalry at bay. They can't do anything as long as these squares are here. And these squares are here just to make it safe for the artillery to approach. Once they're in position, we will move some of those squares out of the way. What happened to our friend, the Dutch-Belgian unit? Are they in the lake? Okay, now this is the what-if penalty. 3,000 points you're going to lose if you activate D'Erlon's Corps. Don't do it. You don't need it, and you don't want to lose 3,000 points. Basically, there's an objective on the map back by the town where we set up initially. If you move an officer near that objective, within like 10 yards of it, for 1 minute, it's going to activate Ney's or D'Erlon's Corps, and you don't need them, and it's 3,000 points you're going to lose. You cannot afford to lose 3,000 points, so don't activate them. And there's also some cavalry that you're going to be able to activate. Don't activate them either. They're all penalties. They're all point penalties for using them. So you don't want to do it. So now some skirmishers are approaching. We've opened our field of fire on the artillery. So we quickly have to get our leader out of there, and we have to get skirmishers in front of the guns to screen them so the guns don't take losses, which I've covered many times. All right, so we have cleared this area of the Dutch Belgians for now, and we'll begin refining our defense over here. Luckily, there's not much over here at the moment, so we have a little time to set up what we need to set up. We still need to screen our left because these units aren't routed; they've just been pushed back, and we're happy to contain them for now. And when Bonaparte's division hits the Bazzi Wood, they will run through them like a bulldozer. All right, so one unit is withdrawing, but there's a lot more coming up. Get another skirmisher group here to cover the guns. I'm much happier now that the field of fire of the guns is up because, as always, canister fire. There's nothing like it. Oh, there they are. They are taking a bath, cooling off. And that is the sound of our guns blowing holes in this unit right here with canister fire. All right, so our guns are up. Now let's see how we're going to set this up. I think we're going to move these squares forward a little bit here, move this one out of the way, and set the guns up right in here. So anything that tries to approach on the right side of this hedgerow here is just going to get murdered by the artillery. And these squares will hold the area on the other side of the hedgerows along with the Gemioncourt. And we'll keep a unit or two in reserve to split off skirmishers if we need to screen the squares or whatever. And I'm just refining these because I want the guns to have a good field of fire. And we're going to get that square out of there to open up the gun's field of view. And then we'll split off skirmishers from that unit to cover the guns. All right, so let's refine this fortress a little bit. It's a little messy. For some reason, my right flank button is not working. And also, my formation buttons are not working for all of Gunther's brigade. I don't know why. I've never actually seen that happen before, but somehow the toolbar has gotten permanently messed up for Gunther's brigade, and they're stuck in whatever formations they're in. And I can't change their formations. I've never seen that happen before. I don't know what's causing it, but it's only Gunther's brigade. And Gunther's not dead. It's not like the officer's dead or anything. I don't know why my formations are locked up, but they are. And that is a problem. Luckily, most of Gunther's brigade is over on the left, and they're in line. So what I really decided to do when I figured this out, you can see I can't change their formations. They're just stuck in line. I'm clicking on it and nothing's happening. I'm like, what the hell's going on? I've never seen this before, and I've played the scenario many times, and I've never seen that happen. I'm taking them off command, take charge, and trying to change their formation, but nothing doing. They're just stuck in whatever formation they're in. So Gunther's brigade is not going to be effective at holding the front lines here. So we're going to have to move Jamin's brigade into position to take up the front here, because Gunther is malfunctioning. That shouldn't happen in your playthrough. Like I said, I've never seen that happen before. It must be just some fluke. But we're just going to end up using Gunther's brigade to screen the left here against the Dutch Belgians. And there's some cannon here. I'm just sending the cavalry to get rid of them. Go get them, boys. Get those guns. And I want to get rid of those guns so that I can move Jamin's brigade in on the left on the other side of the river, so that they can set up the horsey fort without being pounded on by artillery. Because needless to say, any version of the fortress is not going to hold up well if it's getting bombed on by artillery. So any artillery that is already out here has to be getting rid of, and they're running off, and I'm fine with that. I don't want to chase them all over God's green earth. I just want them far enough away that I can bring Jamin's brigade up and set up the left, because we don't really have much of a defense set up on the left yet. Now that we have the guns up and firing, it's time to find our supply wagons. But first, we'll cover the guns with skirmishers. So if any infantry moves into position, the guns will not get shot at. And, you know, this is like a fail-safe. By putting skirmishers in front of the guns, I don't have to worry about the guns getting shot at and run off. Even if I'm not there to watch it, I know the skirmishers are going to screen them. So here we go. I still cannot change formations with any of Gunther's units. And I haven't the foggiest idea why. That's never happened before. So now I'm going to try and actually move the whole brigade with the leader. But I don't want him to move, so we'll detach him, because I like where he is. And see if we can get the brigade to move into a formation that way. Nope, I can't select a formation even with the leader. So I haven't got the foggiest idea what happened here. But the formation button and kind of some of the movement buttons are just all out of whack for Gunther's brigade. So he's not going to be effective here at holding the left here. So we're going to have to bring some of these battalions from Jamin's brigade that are currently supporting Gemioncourt, and they're going to have to come over and take over on the front, because I can't change any formations with Gunther's brigade. So we can't have him at the front, because you're going to need to form square. So we're going to have him basically screen the left, and you know, now they'll still move in column by division, it looks like, and they'll still form line when they come into distance of the enemy, but I can't change their formation. And I have no idea why. So here's some of Jamin's battalions now, and like I said, we're going to start moving them over, because I can still use formation changes with them. I have no idea why that happened with Gonthier's brigade. I've never seen that happen before. It must be some kind of bug. Because there's no conditions other than retreating or being routed. There's no conditions in which you cannot change formation. So this pesky Dutch-Belgian unit is still in the lake taking a bath. I know you can't see the water, but that's a graphical thing. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. And they're annoying me by being there. I really kind of want to drive them off. At the same time, I really want to get my supply wagons up because I know my guns are firing canister. That is the Durland Corps activation. If you were to take a leader like Ryle or Minet here and move him to that objective, in 1 minute it would activate Durland's Corps. And yeah, you'd have a whole corps backing you up, but you've lost 3,000 points, and you really can't afford to lose 3,000 points. So don't activate Durland. You don't need him. Even with your formation buttons going haywire. You still don't need them. Alright, so some of these allied units are now moving to the edge of the wood. We're going to move Gonthier's units to fight them because I can't change them to any formation but line is fine for this. I think I can still split off skirmisher units from them. And we'll just take a cavalry squadron and move them forward and force some of these units into square so that we can shoot at them and get the advantage of them. And like I said, I'm not really concerned with really plowing through those guys. I'll wait for Bonaparte's division to come up and do that. So we've again forced these guys in the pool into square. Get this cavalry out of here. And this unit right here is damn stubborn. Like, they do not want to leave. I really have to like put my attention into getting rid of them. And there's like so much more important stuff going on than that. It's just annoying me that I have to deal with that. Alright, so here's Foy, the division commander on the left. We'll bring him forward. His supply wagon will come with him. And that supply wagon will go to supply those guns right there. All right, so we're bringing Jamin's brigade up here, and now in between each one of these squares, I'm going to set them up in squares. So we've got 3 squares here, and in between each square, I'm going to stick a cavalry squadron, and that is the horsey fort. And basically, it makes it so that any infantry that approaches the squares will likewise be forced into square themselves, and we have an even fight. And any cavalry that approaches can't do anything because they can't charge the squares. So, as long as there's no artillery around, the horsey fort is good. So we've got some cavalry forcing these units into square, and we can move our line units forward to start shooting at them. Send some skirmishers out. And they're just taking a weird passing route, but they ran off the Allied skirmishers as a result of that. Alright. And this unit here we're going to set up right behind the artillery, and that's going to be our source of skirmishers to screen the battery, so that any of these infantry units that try to come forward will not be able to shoot at the guns. Alright, so our line is coming together. Now see, any unit that tries to approach in the center is not going to be able to do anything because we have the cavalry in the center. And that will force them into square. And we'll bring Waterloo forward. His supply wagon will follow him, wherever the hell it is. Oh, there it is. On the road. We'll take charge of them. And we want to send them up towards the cannon over here, so they have a supply wagon. Now, unfortunately, they're locked on road movement. So as you can see, they're running through the enemy lines. So that's not going to work. We actually have to get that supply wagon to go off of road movement. And it should happen just with a reclick, but for some reason here it doesn't. They're locked on road movement at the moment. And if I wasn't busy handling so many different things at once here, I would handle that right away. But as you can see, they are locked on road movement. And I'm like, why are you locked on road movement? I just reclicked you. Why are you running through the Allied lines? So I'm a little confused because I re-clicked them and that should have canceled the road movement. And it's not. They're still on road movement. So I'm like, why is that happening? In the end, I just decided to move them off the road manually so that it cancels the road movement. There it goes. That canceled the road movement, and now I can move them directly to the battery. I don't know why it's supposed to cancel just by any reclick, but it stayed locked on road movement there until I just moved them a small distance. So there's Bonaparte now, and we'll start him heading for Grand Pierrepont and just set him up in line with artillery front so they can start bombarding the artillery over there. But that objective isn't activated yet, so we don't have to worry about dealing with that right now. Alright, so here we go, Horsey Fort. So as I said, I'm just going to move a cavalry squadron in between each one of these squares. And as I said, that will force any enemy infantry that approaches to likewise assume square. And that way we won't have them in line firing at our squares, which of course our squares would not get the best of. So the point of the Horsey Fort is to force any enemy infantry into square themselves so that it's square versus square and it's an even fight. And if enemy cavalry approaches, it doesn't matter because we're already in square and they can't charge square. So the point of the Horsey Fort is just to make sure that our infantry is fighting on even terms and not getting the worst of it. So we're slowly starting to push these Allied units off to the left in the Basel Wood there, and like I said, I'm not interested in really running them off, just keeping them away from us. We'll run them off when Bonaparte's division heads into the Basel Wood. All right, so finally we've gotten our skirmishers out front in front of the guns here, and we've got everybody all kind of blocked up over here. And these guys are still stuck in square. I want to get this unit into range so that they can start shooting at them. And you've gone and left your artillery completely undefended. Not a good idea when you're dealing with me. Because that always ends up giving me ideas. So as you can see, our cavalry has forced the enemy units into square so that They cannot approach this position. We have some skirmishers out front here to screen the cavalry. That'll hold for now. Look at all these guns and nobody to defend them. Time to gobble them up with our cavalry here. Can't do this. You can't leave your artillery undefended like this and leave a way through for me, because all I need is one squadron and I'll wipe all of this out. You have to at least keep a unit back here of infantry that can form square or something to block this, because otherwise it's just like a smorgasbord for me to gobble up. So, and this is just a ton of points. I mean, this is two whole batteries we're gonna get. It's just ridiculous. You know, we're gonna get like 300 points or something from this. And those guys, this squadron sat there resting for a long time, so they've got plenty of energy. And, you know, these guns aren't even like trying to hook up and get out of here because they don't even see it coming. You know, like, you have all this infantry back here and you have it too far away. This should have been used to cover these batteries, because now it's too late and I'm just going to gobble them up. You know, the AI has a tough time predicting kind of really bold or really aggressive moves to unprotected units. You know, this battery is a long way away from my line. They had no reason to think it was in any danger because it does have allied units in front of it. But here we are swooping around behind it, and you know, that's just something that the AI leaves itself open to. So, yeah, 300 points. You know, basically for both of these batteries here, and on top of that, we're in rear of these units now. Maybe we can get a piece. So again, we have some units coming forward here. But we have our cavalry coming forward here. If we can swoop around here, we might be able to force all these guys into square. And still can't seem to engage these guys. I must not be able to see them because they're snoozing in the lake here. So I'm going to move them into point-blank range and line and just start blowing pieces. And at this point, our right flank is no longer threatened at all because we just took all that artillery. If I can get rid of these guys once and for all. Alright, how's everything going over here? So we're still engaged on the left, but it's much more stabilized. We've got our horsey forts set up, so none of this can really approach. If the cavalry tries to come over, they can't do anything. They can't charge the squares. And if infantry comes, that cavalry will force them into square. So yeah, if you don't have enough artillery to set up, you know, a whole line of fortresses, which we don't in this instance, the horsey fort is a good alternative. As long as you're not dealing with enemy artillery, which is why I took all that enemy artillery at the beginning with those, you know, I made sure to capture as much of it as I could. So as long as you're not dealing with enemy artillery, the horsey fort is a good way to deal with both enemy infantry and cavalry, because the cavalry can't charge the squares, and your cavalry that's in between the squares forces any enemy units that approach into square themselves. And just the threat of this cavalry here has made these units run off. And now we're bombing a square with canister fire. That is always fun. And, okay, so we've activated the next objective here, Grand Pierrepont. And that is going to be handled by Bonaparte's division. Once we unlock Grand Pierrepont, that will unlock the Beaujeu Wood South, followed by Beaujeu Wood North. And Beaujeu Wood North is wiped by Quatre Bras. We're not going to bother with that one. We're just going to get Grand Pierrepont and Beaujeu Wood South. And those are the main objectives that we're going to be going for. But we still have these objectives right now, and we're still getting a lot of points from them. So usually by around like halfway through the scenario, 15:30 or so, where we're going to stop the video, you should be about halfway there. You should have about 7,000-8,000 points. So all our supply wagons are in place now. That's good. I can start resupplying my batteries. How close do I have to get these guys to actually start shooting? I mean, are they underwater? Wouldn't they die from suffocation? Really? How close do I need to get to start shooting at them? Alright, so most of the Dutch have withdrawn into the Bossie Wood, and they're pretty safe there for now. So there's not much fighting going on in here. So I'm going to start shoring up the line here. Move some cavalry forward. In case any of these guys try and come forward, first thing they'll have to do is form square. You know, I'm not interested in pushing them right now. Like I said, we're going to do that with Bonaparte's division. Alright, so they sent some skirmishers forward, and they've got a cannon in range to fire canister at our skirmishers, so we're going to have to deal with that. Although I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do yet. So I'm going to bring this cavalry unit, these heroes over here that scored 370 points, and see if we can force some more of these units into square. And our units in the fort are doing great. They're inflicting tons of casualties, and they're not taking a lot. And most of that is because it's cavalry out in front of us that we're shooting at. There's not too much infantry. You know, so the cavalry can't do anything to us, but we can shoot at them through the fort. So, yeah, both our units are doing great, if a little tired, but not too tired. And we've got another 12 minutes on that objective. And we'll get 1,000 points. And I'm going to start throwing some skirmishers in front of these squares so they can start shooting at the cavalry. And this stream really adds a good... because it takes the cavalry so long to cross it, it's hard for the enemy cavalry to get the jump on you. Because it takes so long for them to actually cross the river that you know, you're able to react even though you've got all this stuff to that we're trying to watch at the same time here. Now, before I send Bonaparte's division forward, I want to make sure and capture these guns. So there's Bonaparte's division, 2 brigades. He's got Bowden and Soy. And once we capture those guns, we'll start moving his division forward. And I'm just checking to see what's in the Bossie Wood here. How many units are in there? What do I have to deal with? Because I'm going to send Bonaparte's entire division in there after we capture Grand Pierrepont to get that. All right, this is another activate that you don't want to use. This is the you activate the Lefebvre's light cavalry division. It's 2,000 points if you activate it, so don't do it. And again, another objective marker will appear right next to the activate Derland's core objective marker. Just don't do it. Don't activate any of these troops. See, there's two now. One is for Derland, one is for the cavalry. Don't activate them. It's going to cost you points, and you don't need it. And I'm going to start moving my senior officers up to behind my lines here, just so that they're easier to find and keep track of the points so far. So we've got about 7,500 points so far. So pretty close to halfway there. And like I said, you want to get there around, you know, halfway through the scenario, around 1530. That's pretty average. So we forced a bunch of units into square just with this cavalry squadron. These fools are hiding in the square. I suspect if we move a little further closer, we could force them into square as well, but I don't want to get this cavalry unit shot to pieces either. And at some point, we're going to have to deal with that lone allied cannon that's actually plowing into this skirmisher unit right here and blowing them to pieces. You can see it right here. Right now, their line of sight is thankfully blocked by friendly units, so they're not doing any more damage. So we've got we're deploying some skirmishers now to basically shoot at these guys in the flank. You can see we've got all of this totally just botched up over here. They're just all bottled up. They can't approach because we got the fortress set up. They can't move out to the right because we got horsey fort set up. So we've got that all bottled up nicely. And they just don't know what the hell to do. They're just standing there like, what do we do? How do we approach this? Well, you don't. And with the Dutch-Belgians withdrawing into the Bazou Wood, I am going to bring the rest of my cavalry up to support the horsey forts. So yeah, this skirmisher unit has taken quite a pounding from that artillery, but now that this unit is blocking these guns' line of sight, we don't have to worry about getting plowed with canister as long as they're there. So I'm really not in a hurry to run these guys off, because I'm kind of happy that they're blocking that gun's line of sight to continue shattering the skirmisher unit with canister. So we've quickly ran these guys off who were right here because we deployed skirmishers on their flank. And like I said, we've just got all of this in here bottled up. They can't cross the river because there's this cannon right here ready to blow them to pieces. And to the left, we got horsey forts. And we'll keep this cavalry squadron on the right for now. We've really cleared out the right flank here. We don't necessarily really need them there, but I just want to keep a cavalry squadron on our extreme right there, just to anchor us against the lake. And again, I'm just checking out the Bazou Wood, seeing what's in here. So a good number of forces, but these are all guys we've shot up, and I'm pretty confident that Bonaparte's whole division there will be able to just plow through them like a bulldozer. All right, let's get these guns out of here. There's 3 cannon here, and like I said, before I send Bonaparte against Grand Pierrepont, I first want to clear these guns out so that they're not able to bomb away on them while they're trying to capture Grand Pierrepont. And some of them are trying to hook up and get out of here. But here comes our squadron. Go get them, boys. And they are all trying to get out of here. And we're running them down. And like I said, I just mashed the charge button to keep the charge going, just in case they get any ideas of stopping, or, to keep them from stopping to reform after capturing each gun. So there's one. There's two. And this battery's really making a run for it. They're like, get us out of here. Nope, you got caught. And now let's run down this final gun here, who's making a beeline for the Bazzi Wood. They are really trying to get out of there. Oh, you done stopped. That wasn't a smart move. You just gave us a few extra feet to catch up to you there. And they're almost gonna make it. Nope, we got him. Alrighty, so we cleared those guns away, and now these cavalry boys are tired, so we're gonna let them rest. But now it's safe to start bringing Bonaparte up. And yeah, that's the cavalry squadron that we do not want to activate. And that's Kellerman's corps. We don't want to activate them either. We don't want to activate any of these guys. Alrighty. So here we are. We're about halfway through the battle now. We've got about almost 8,000 points. So yeah, these are the two activate objectives. Ignore them. Don't go anywhere near them with an officer and accidentally activate them. So, alright guys, that is halfway through the battle. So, I'll pause it right here at 15:30. And in the next video, we will cover Bonaparte's attack on Grand Pierrepont. We're going to capture these guns, surround the fort, occupy it. That will unlock the Bazzi Wood South objective, and then we will march straight into the Bazzi Woods and clear all those Dutch Belgians out of it and occupy the Bazzi Wood South objective. And we're going to continue acquiring points from Gemioncourt, as well as the objective that Hussein's brigade is occupying. And yep, and that will pretty much take us on the road to victory. So, all right, that's it for this episode, guys. This is only part one. As I said, part two will be next, and that will be the final part. We'll cover from 1530 to 1700. All right, fellas, take it easy.